Take two. Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Pure Reason Revolution Week. The album that came out today, September 6th, 2024. The last of a series of videos, although I think I might do a songs video, like a rank song. I need to do that. I've talked about doing songs lists and everything, and I haven't. But anyway, I got my vinyl in the mail. It was either yesterday or today. I've listened to this album like 4 or 5 times now. The new album, which you can see, here's the gatefold. It's included. There's John, Greg, Jong. I don't know if it's who the other guy is. It's not Jamie. I don't think Jamie rejoined. Maybe it's Paul. I forget who the drummer is. Ravi. That's who the other member is. And then Annika Shireen, who the last few years Pure Reason Revolution has been doing some touring, and she's basically filled in for Chloe Alper, because Chloe Alper hasn't been able to perform with them, in this case record with them, because has her responsibilities with the band James, who I think she's been doing pretty well financially, so it makes some sense. But technically Chloe Alper's still a member of Pure Reason Revolution, just she wasn't involved with this album Coming Up to Consciousness. But so let's see here. Here's the I can mention about Chloe Alper with James. James is coming to St. Paul. They're opening for Johnny Marr, formerly of the Smiths and the and other things, on October 18th at the Palace Theater here in St. Paul. And while I was thinking of I wasn't even thinking of going, the fact that Chloe's going to be there, I don't know if I had a chance of actually meeting her at the show, bringing a copy of like the Darther or something to have her sign, but just to see her perform live, even though I listened to the new James album, I've listened to some of the music, it hasn't done, a ton for me, but yeah, this is blue vinyl, I didn't even mention, it's like a baby blue or sky blue kind of splatter, but, I don't know, I'll see, that's October 18th, but, as far as Annika Shireen, yeah, she sounds really good on this record, and again, she's basically sang. I don't know if she does a lot of the instrumental parts that Chloe did, but anyway. I was actually listening to some of her music. She's got 2 bands. She's a fill-in on some band. But she's got her own band called Shireen, and I'm really liking it. I've listened to some of this record from 2017, although I don't know how they did anything else. It's called Matriarch. It's kind of medieval folk, but it's kind of progressive and kind of reminds me of like Dead Can't Dance and some other things, but well-written songs. But anyway, getting back to Coming Up to Consciousness, this album. And I'm happy to say that while I enjoy the last 2 records, these other 2 records right here that I just talked about in the last 2 videos, Above Cyrus and Yupney especially, I think I might already like this album more than both of them, overall. I mean, it's a little premature because I've only listened to this album a few times, but there's a lot of like really good dreamy moments. They captured a lot of it does kind of channel back to what works so well on the early PRR. Some of it's jazzy, some of the production of the drums sounds jazzy. Songs like Betrayal, The Gallows, Useless Animal, and then the last 3 tracks. Now, the weird thing is, here's the track list. Spotify has these little interludes, interlude 1, interlude, and they're not annoying, but they don't really do much. I don't even know why they're on there. The thing I could see is maybe because they have them, it's like what Marillion did with, Fear, whatever it was, Fear, and they split the tracks up. Was it? Yeah, I think it was An Hour Before It's Dark. So Pure Reason Evolution is going to get more credit, or Spotify gets more money, per se, whatever, to having, more tracks on the album. But, yeah, Lifeless Creature, that's dreamy as hell. And As We Disappear is an unbelievably sublime ballad that ends this album. The whole, industrial guitars are used at points, on Dig Till You Die, which was the early single, the first single at least, they did a video for. I don't mind that song. I think that might be my least favorite song on this album, actually. Bend the Earth. There's a few moments, these Bend the Earth or Lifeless Creature, I swear I'm hearing, what they captured, some of those kind of warm, dreamy, kind of trippy vocal layering that I hear like parts of Voices in Winter or something like that. But the thing is, like, I know Annika, like the inspiration influence behind this record. John Courtney's done several interviews I watched on YouTube and like read or whatever, talking about. Well, for one thing, he talked about Annika and being similar to Chloe. That's why they, had to find someone to help out. And while I've listened to, like, I think on here she does sound kind of like Chloe. He's right about that. I think on her normal voice, like on her other music, at least on Shireen, she doesn't sound much anything like her. But it works. I mean, I miss Chloe at the same time. I don't know if the songs could be like they sound great with Annika. So or Annika, however she says her name. She's got a great, like, soothing voice. That same kind of voice for those songs, like that Fury's Revolution. Previously, like what Chloe had done, like that soothing, dreamy, textured layers, kind of seductive voice at times. That blends so well with John's voice, and just sometimes it's multi-tracked. I don't know. But I was getting more about the inspiration behind this record. Of course, it's this dog that's on the cover. I guess his one of his family dog had to be put down. But also there was, like, the title Coming Up to Consciousness was somewhat based on his experience of, like, sort of having, like, an epiphany about life, because he had some kind of troubling, like, anxiety or stressful experience with some sort of exposure to asbestos, and, like, what would happen to his family, I guess, in Germany. Because I don't know what kind of family John has. I think he's married and has children. I'm not certain of that, but I thought that's what we talked about in that. But anyway, but also he said that, like, one or two of these songs were, like, Dig Till You Die, the title, was, like, inspired by some of the lyrics by a conversation he had at some airport with someone who was there, telling of a story, like, of someone who was, like, having a survival issue, like, thought they were going to die and they didn't. I don't know. I forget. I mean, I've listened to those. It was a few weeks ago, those interviews with him, and I just remember that's what I can retain from that. But some conversation he had at an airport. He had time to kill at an airport when he was actually, because Greg Jong, he's from, I think he was based there. He met, or at least they formed the band in the UK at Westminster University, but he's resided in the US for, I don't know, over 10 years. For a while, at least. He was in, like, Seattle or something at one point, and now I guess he's, like, out east, like in Virginia, I think, or somewhere out east. But I thought that John mentioned, because, like, when he talked about interviews on the previous record, he went to go visit Greg in Seattle or whatever. So I think it was Seattle, somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. And this particular series of work and recording, working with Greg Jong again, he was in, like, Virginia or whatever. So so he was, like, in some sort of connected flight and at an airport and talking to some fellow who they had some sort of common taste in music and stuff like that, I guess. I don't know. It's like they were just talking about stuff and he told them about some experience. I'm trying to remember what he told this story on 2 or 3 interviews I watched. But so I kind of gathered that's where the title Coming Up to Consciousness and sort of survival, Dig Till You Die, Betrayal, The Gallows, some of that. I mean, Worship is okay. I don't know. I mean, it's a record that is definitely it's got a warmer kind of production. The drums sound really clean. They sound more almost analog sounding. That's the thing, is from a production standpoint, it sounds a fair amount different than these 2 records. You think about the Dark Third. I'd say especially the Dark Third. I don't know about the records after it quite as much, but there's, like, this warm production style, although even a little different. Reminds me of, like, Mid-Lake. The last Mid-Lake record had that, where that 70s kind of almost analog sounding production, and when it's mixed well, comes a lot of jazzes like that. It's just, there's a very warm feeling, and I get that impression on a lot of the tracks on here. It's a lot of piano, and the guitars, well, they're still used a lot of clean guitar. On those other 2 records, it was a lot of clean guitar, but also a lot of distorted guitar on the industrial sounding guitar, which again is used in points on like Dig Till You Die, especially Useless Animal and Worship definitely, but Bend the Earth is definitely a banger. I mean, that's one of the best songs. I guess I was getting goosebumps today listening to that, and As We Disappear is just a just mesmerizing track. Great kind of ending ballad. It's a ballad, you could say. John and Annika's vocals blend really well on that. So yeah, I mean, from a standpoint of how this compares to the other records, you know, again, it's hard to say, but I feel like I'm more warm up. Maybe it's the newness factor and sort of having its differences than the last two records, or maybe, you know, because when stuff new, you're really enthusiastic, and then does it you know, hold up? Does it stand the test of time? In a year or two from now, I'm going to be listening to this, but where it compares to the rest of the albums in 2024, I don't know, because this year is turning out to be a damn good year. Actually, historically, really since even '94, every year that ends in 4 has been really good for me. I mean, there's plenty of other good years. It's just a year, but 2014 had a lot of great albums. 2004 a lot of great. So I mean, I'm not surprised. 1994, 2024 has had a lot of really good records. My list is probably going to be as long, if not longer, than the last few years. But I was just looking at where the other records finished. I think Eupnia finished it with like number 1, number 2 that year. I'm going to do the retro albums of the year and get to these eventually, hopefully. But Above Cirrus was like 14th, you know, right around the same place that Hammer and Anvil did. I think Hammer and Anvil is slightly higher, but I think you're comparing albums to albums where you rank it in terms of number. I can just say that this is not a disappointing album. It's an album I'm enjoying so far. I don't know how attached to it I'll get. Like, I'm going to be listening to it months from now. We get to the end of the year, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up in my top 10, though. So you could say it's like the third time's a charm in a way. And I think there's just a difference in the sound somewhat. So, you know, I think it's sort of less is more. I think even though these records aren't that different in length, there's so much packed in on this record and on jeez, I'm doing a number on that. And on this record that I think if it reminds me most of any of their records, it probably reminds me most of Hammer and Anvil. Whereas I felt like Hammer and Anvil, like, it wasn't too much, although they're just like, I would say though, the last 3 tracks, especially Bend the Earth, are going to be songs I'm going to go to. Betrayal is really like sort of, I would call it poppy, but it's got that warm, kind of soothing, kind of infectious atmosphere and vibe to it, even though the term betrayal doesn't sound all that optimistic, but so what's your take on Coming Up to Consciousness? Have you heard it yet? If you have not, I'd recommend it. I mean, again, I would tell you if you like the early Purism Revolution, you might like this more than the last two. If you like the last two, you might still like this, but maybe not as much. I don't know. And the fact that we don't have Chloe in there, people are gonna think of that, of course. But I really think, as much as I do partially miss her presence, I think Annika Shireen really she really filled the shoes well, and I don't know why it's called Betrayal. It's a cruel betrayal. You earn this, Crimson Field, because it's an uplifting track, but it's just a soothing song. It's a different, very much contrast to the song before it, Dig Till You Die. So, which is really intense, and but The Gallows is yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot to like on this record, as much as it's only like 41 minutes and it's only 8 proper songs. But we'll see. I don't know. I'll have to try to do the Purism Evolution songs list. I don't know if it's gonna be like a top 20, top 30. They have 6 full-length albums now, and then they have the mini album, and they have some other tracks off Valor. The other thing is, I did pre-order. Yeah, I ordered the. It's called Sleeping. It's got the song Eidertown, but the rarities, the early rarities, compilation of some kind. It's named after that Realm of the Divine, I think it is. There's a part off of the Dark Third that let's see here real quickly if I can pull that up. Yeah, In the Realms of the Divine. In fact, did I have it up? I could just read off the track list because there's a lot of the Sunset Sound tracks are on there. So when I get that in the mail, I'll have to show it, maybe even do a review. As a fan of especially the early stuff and like the Sunset Sound stuff, I know of course it doesn't pull it up. I had it up earlier because it's a new. I'll have to review it because it has like Sleep Under Eider Town. It does have Borgen's Vor. Yeah, I mean, it has a few demos of like Bright Ambassadors, but I'll have to talk about it and show it, of course, on like a collection update or when I get it in the mail. But thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this whole series. Thank you for John. I assume it's John. On social media, passing my post along. Pure Reason Revolution's a band that just look at my collection that I've been into for a long time. And that part of it is just like you see a lot of other people review their albums, and I'm not trying to gatekeep at all, because the more success they have, the better, the more I want from them. But at the same time, I feel like one of those things where I'm listening, and I feel like that some of us have actually seen the band through longer periods of stretches of time. We have maybe slightly different thoughts about it, but I know people that love the last 2 records and probably are loving this new album. Most of my people that I've seen in the comments have really given the new album a positive review, Coming Up to Consciousness. But I mean, it's one of those things where you fall in love with the band and you feel like it's almost sacred ground, because especially their first record, they had the tall task of putting out this unbelievably great debut album, The Dark Third, and getting a fair amount of momentum and being on a major label that it was just almost impossible for them to follow it up. It's like those bands that have one album and then they just stop and do something else. It almost would be easier, but as a selfish fan, I don't mean to be selfish, but as much as I love them, I wanted as much as I could, because I mean, if they had only done this album or the combination, and done nothing else, they would have had a mark on progressive rock, modern progressive rock history. Yeah, and even when I go through the progressive art rock calendars, hopefully sometime in the near future, you bet a lot of these will be showing up, in terms of chronology. But yeah, Pure Reason Revolution, they've always been a big deal to me, especially back when they broke up in 2011. It was a little tough to take, although I wasn't shocked because I'd seen this happen with many bands I love. But it's great to see them back, even without Chloe being involved right now. But and putting out a record as good as Coming Up to Consciousness, at least from my perspective right now. But again, thank you for watching. Please give me your take on the new album. Give me your album rankings. I'd love to see that. And like I said, I'll look forward to doing the song list, and we'll see you next time.